Hi everyone, I am here with our Christmas story for tonight. Our Advent calendar for December 11th is simply this. Entertaining. Label place cards with attributes like kindness, patience, humility, and so on. Guests decide who sits where. Alright. You never know what the Advent calendar is going to say. Sometimes it's a tip, sometimes it's a Bible verse. Alright, so the story tonight is A Gift Received. And it looks like a prison. It is by Lori Matherin from Louisiana. Let's see, far from home. There are 2.2 million people in U.S. prisons and jails, a 500% increase since 1980 due to changes in law and policy, not crime rate. More than 230,000 women and girls are behind bars. 60% of women in local jails are awaiting trial and have not been convicted of a crime. 1 in 50 children in the United States has a parent in prison. That's sad. What did I have to offer these women in jail for Christmas Eve? I can think of something. The Word of God. Tell them the Christmas story. I stood in front of a metal detector at the county jail. A guard patted me down and handed me a visitor's badge. This was not where I wanted to be on Christmas Eve. Tina, my church jail ministry partner, had called earlier to say she couldn't make it to the women's Bible study at the jail that night, and she'd promised, but the group was expecting someone. I pictured them sitting around a metal table in the communal cell, awaiting to be uplifted by Tina's lesson. She always led the meetings. She knew exactly what to say. What did I have to offer all these women spending Christmas in this lonely, dismal place? The guard waved me through the metal detector. Another guard accompanied me to the women's wing with my Bible. A door buzzed and I heard a clamor of voices before I walked into the activity room. Roughly 30 women in orange jumpsuits and jail-issued sandals stood with expectant looks. "You're here," one of them shouted. A few began pulling sheets off of their bunks and wrapping them around themselves like tunics or cloaks. A semicircle of chairs seemed to be arranged for some kind of performance. "Everyone in the audience, sit down," shouted an imposing inmate of Native American heritage. The woman strode toward me and introduced herself as Jenny. "We don't want a Bible study today," she announced. "We're putting on a play. All we need is a real audience, and here you are." With that, Jenny stepped back and opened a Bible. The women in sheets scurried around and took their places. When they were ready, Jenny read, "Now the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, took place in this way." 2 of the inmates walked in the middle of the semicircle, and I realized they were Mary and Joseph. This was a nativity play. Jenny read from the gospel while the women played their parts, stopping at various points to sing. Baby Jesus was a pillow carried lovingly by Mary and placed on a chair. The manger, the shepherds came in, led by angels. The 3 wise men followed, carrying their gifts. These were Roman noodles and bottles of toiletries. Jenny moved everyone through their roles with jailhouse bluntness. "Get in there, pay attention, next." I joined in singing Silent Night. The women had surprisingly lovely voices. After the song, Jenny ordered everyone to kneel before Jesus. The actors kneeled. "You too," Jenny shouted to the inmates in the audience, "now." One by one, the inmates kneeled. I knelt too. The room was silent. I didn't know these women particularly well, but in my visits with Tina, I'd gotten a general idea why most of them had ended up in jail. Domestic disputes, drugs, bad checks, prostitution, maybe to support an addiction, crimes of poverty with jail time, inevitable because no one could afford bail. Tonight, all of that seemed to vanish. These women were full of joy and purpose. Jenny read from the prophet Isaiah, For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. A moment more of transportive silence. Then Jenny barked, Okay, play's over. I applauded, genuinely moved, and the group rushed toward me from the makeshift stage. Did you like it? Was our singing in tune? Could you imagine the real story? I was surrounded. No one expressed bitterness over missing Christmas at home or worry about kids and elderly parents left behind. No one sounded lonely or depressed or fearful. The women needed no more from me than my appreciation for their effort in the story of Jesus' birth. They had clearly found the love and forgiveness they yearned for. Tonight, all that mattered was God's promise of new life, as real as that pillow placed lovingly on a chair. When the visit was over, we all wished one another a Merry Christmas, and the door buzzed. I was escorted back to the exit. Night had fallen, and I walked to my car under the glare of security lights. I remembered how apprehensive I felt going in, but then it occurred to me that the first Christmas was probably a lot like this. 2 poor refugees with nowhere to call home, sleeping in a stable. Baby Jesus born as a nobody with a mission to rescue the lost. This wasn't where I wanted to be on a Christmas Eve until I saw that Jesus himself was inside, bearing the priceless gift of God's loving grace. I was honored to have witnessed it. And here's a picture of her. So I hope you guys enjoyed that Christmas story. See, she didn't want to go. And then when she got there, she was glad she went. She didn't even have to teach the inmates a Bible study that night. They did a play for her, showing her, hey, we've learned from the Bible study. Look, we're putting on a play. We know about Jesus' birth, and we're going to do this for you. Look how much we've learned. It's wonderful. And they were singing and quoting from the Bible. So wonderful. I hope you guys enjoyed that Christmas story. And God willing, we'll be back tomorrow with another one and our event calendar as well. Bye, guys. God bless. Good night.